Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta, where we gather to create a beloved community, acting together with compassion, reason, and respect, empowering us to promote a just society. Part of doing that is naming the complexity of things, like Mother's Day. This Mother's Day, we honor the care, love, grief, and all the day can bring. My name is Cheryl Martin. My pronouns are she, her. And today I am co-creating this service with Reverend Nic, Desiree C., the UUCA Contemporary Music Ensemble and Choir, led by our music director, Josef, Patchen, the talented folks running our tech deck, and all of you. We are all creating this moment together. In honor of this sacred moment and respect for each other, would you please take a moment to place your devices on worship mode, and I will do the same. And while we're doing that, I will check just to make sure I've done the same thing. Okay. Okay, thank you. If you're a first-time visitor today, we encourage you to stop by the greeters table following the service to get more acquainted with the church. Our membership coordinator, Fern Smith, would love to chat with you and find out more about your interest. The blue card in the seat pocket in front of you can be a great way to start that conversation. You're also more than welcome to join us for coffee and snacks after worship in the common room. Existing members will know newcomers by the green or red name tags. The green name tag means, yes, please, go ahead and talk to me, say hi, and let's get to know each other right away. For those of us who are more introverted, the red is like, yes, please say hi to me, but I really would rather get to know people more slowly over time. And for those of you on Zoom, please consider staying after the service to connect and chat with others. Whether you're here in person, or coming to us via Zoom, welcome into this space and our time of service. Blessed be.
Welcome, everyone, and happy Mother's Day. I know it is a complex day for some of us, but I do hope for those who are celebrating that it is everything you need. My name is Reverend Nic Filzen. My pronouns are he, him. Our chalice lighting words this morning are the Mother's Day Proclamation written by Unitarian Julia Ward Howe in 1870. It was the initial idea of Mother's Day, although it didn't become a holiday nationally until early 20th century. With that, I will share some words on the screen. This will be responsive. I will read the words that are not italicized. If you would please respond along with Cheryl for the italicized portions. And go ahead and rise and body your spirit if you'd like. And we'll stay risen for the first hymn. And you will see why in a second, because it starts with, "Arise then, women of this day."
Arise, all women in good hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears.
Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies.
Our kin shall not come to us reeking with carnage or caresses and applause.
Our children shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience.
We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our children to be trained to injure theirs.
From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, "Disarm, disarm."
The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence vindicate possession.
As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council.
Let them be first as women to wail and commemorate the dead.
Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each bearing after their own kind the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. I don't know about you, but I feel like that anti-war message is a little prevalent today.
Our opening hymn is Mother of All. If you'd like, sheet music can be found using links in your digital order of service.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be reading Hide and Seek with God by Mary Ann Moore. Once upon a time, God said, I'm bored because I don't have anything to do. I want to play with my friends, and because God is God, as soon as the words were spoken, God's friends were there. When God saw them all gathered, God said, I've been bored because I haven't had anything to do. Let's play something. Good idea, said God's friends. What shall we play? Well, God thought for a minute and then said, I know, let's play hide and seek. The friends all said, yay! They knew that hide and seek with God was always exciting and different because God was the one who hid, and God always thought of wonderful places to hide. God's friends closed their eyes tight and they counted to 10. And when they opened their eyes, God wasn't there anymore. So they all went out to look for God. So one friend decided to look close on the earth and soon came to a meadow. As he was searching, he stopped to admire the tender new sprouts of green grass pushing their way up toward the sun. As he bent over to look more closely at the tender green, he realized there's something special and amazing and wonderful about it. So he jumped up and he ran back to home base, calling out, I found God. God is green and growing. I found God in the grass. Another one of God's friends decided to look for God in the night. She watched the sun go down and heard the workaday noises stop, and saw the lights in the houses go out. As it got darker and the peaceful night wrapped itself around her, she listened very hard, and then she realized there was something special and amazing and wonderful about it. And when it was so still that she could see and hear nothing at all, she suddenly jumped up and ran to home base, calling out, I found God. God is dark and peaceful. I found God in the night. A third friend looked at the earth and felt the mystery of the grass growing toward the sun. He stayed and he watched the night come on, and he felt the mystery of the darkness and the stars. And he thought to himself, these mysteries are special and amazing and wonderful. But when he finally got back home to home base, he said, I found wonderful mysteries, but I'm not sure if I want to call them God. A fourth friend decided to look for God where people were. He joined a group of people going home from work and went with them into the store where they bought food. He went with them back out on the street. As they started for their homes, he was with them when someone came up and said, please, I'm very hungry. Could you share a little food with me? The people readily agreed. As he watched them share, he realized there was something special and amazing and wonderful about these people. He turned around and ran to home base, calling out, I found God. God is love and sharing. I found God and people who care for others. Finally, two more of God's friends, a boy and a girl, decided to look for God together. After a time, they came to a house and decided to look for God in the house. In the house, they saw a room, and they looked for God in the room. And in the room, they saw a mirror, and they looked for God in the mirror. And as they looked into the mirror, they realized there was something special and amazing and wonderful being reflected in it. They turned around, they ran to home base calling out, "We found God. We found God in us." At this, God appeared again and said, "I had so much fun. Weren't those some good hiding places? Some of you found me, others weren't sure, and others are still looking, and that's okay. Because the most important thing is just to play the game. Let's do it again. I'm sure I can think of some other good hiding places." And they all called out, "Ollie, ollie, oxen, free, free, free." And the game started all over again. Thank you.
It's the game that matters. Y'all, because we have an otherwise full service today, including a very special ritual for a graduating senior, we're going to do Joys and Sorrows just a little differently than typical, so that our service isn't way too long and you can get those reservations on time. In just a moment, we'll have about 30 seconds of space for everyone and anyone who has a concern or joy or Now that we have called out that which is on our hearts, I invite us into an intentional moment of prayer and meditation. I invite you to arrange your bodies so that you can be as present as possible, so that you can be comfortable. Perhaps that's with your feet planted firmly on the floor or crossed, your hands clasped or on your knees, eyes closed or not. Whatever works for you to be here in this moment with each other and whatever the sacred is that lives in this room with us. After I read this prayer by Nancy Schaefer, there will be an extended moment of silence for further contemplation and meditation. Because she wanted everyone to feel included in her prayer, she said right at the beginning several names for the holy. Spirit, she said, Holy One, Mystery, God. But then, thinking these weren't enough ways of addressing that which cannot be fully addressed, she added particularities, saying Spirit of Life, Spirit of Love, Ancient Holy One, Mystery we will not ever fully know, Gracious God, and also Spirit of this earth, God of Sarah, Gaia, Thou. And then, tongue loosened, she fell to naming superlatives as well. Most creative one, greatest source, closest hope. Even though superlatives for the sacred seemed to her probably redundant, but then she couldn't stop. One who made the stars, she said, although she knew technically a number of those present didn't believe the stars had been made by anyone or thing, but just luckily happened. One who was an entire ocean of compassion, she said, and no one laughed. That which has been present since before the beginning, she said, and the room was silent. Then, Although she hadn't imagined it this way, others began to offer names. Peace, said one. One my mother knew, said another. Ancestor, said a third. Wind, rain, breath, said one near the back. Refuge, that which holds all. A child said, water. Someone said, Kuan Yin. Then, womb, witness, great kindness, great eagle, eternal stillness. And then, there wasn't any need to say the things she thought would be important to say. And everyone sat hushed until someone said, Amen. And everyone sat hushed until someone said, Amen. Y'all, the one and only Zaire Hunter turned 18 and is graduating from high school. What? This next part involves a little bit of embodiment, which you use aren't often great at, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it nonetheless. We're going to head out to the bridge area, the newly named Richard Dillenbeck Bridge, for a literal bridging ceremony. There are specific directions about how and where we move based on our age. That's part of the symbolism today, okay? The kids will follow Zaire down the family ministry hallway and out the end of the hallway and back around toward the bridge that way. All of the folks who are above 18 who identify as adults will head out safely the glass doors by the couches. If anybody needs to or would like to stay at the top of those steps, we have made a pseudo-accessible ramp out there, but you can still stay at the top or stay in here because Natalie is going to follow us out there with her phone, and so you can watch through Zoom that way as well, and we'll spotlight Natalie's phone. Does that all make sense? Any questions about that? Which way are the kids going? Family ministry hallway? Yes. Which way are the adults going? Out the classroom. All right, cool.
Kids, you're going to follow me and Zaire. We're going to lead y'all.
Yep. All right, so here's the last important bit, because we know how we're going and where we're going, but we're also going to sing a little bit, because otherwise, I don't know, we should sing. So as folks move toward the bridge, we're going to sing Just a Closer Walk with Thee, using special lyrics that are linked in your digital order of service. You can also just listen to me. We'll sing the same verse kind of over and over again until we're all out there. This is not a funeral march, even though this song is often done in that setting. Let's move fairly efficiently and safely toward the bridge and back again. When we're done, there's a lot of service left over afterwards. So with that, let's head out there and we'll sing Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Zaire, flourish is my plea. We'll walk very close with Thee. Let it be, dear child, let it be. Just a closer walk is my plea. Will walk daily close with thee. Let it be, dear child, let it be. Again. Just the close walk with thee. We'll walk daily close with thee. Let it be, dear child, let it be. A little faster. Just a closer walk with thee. Sire, flourish is my plea. We'll walk daily close with thee. Let it be, dear child, let it be. Just a closer walk with thee. Sire, flourish is my plea. We'll walk daily close with thee. Let it be, dear child, let it be. Let's do one more. Just a closer walk with thee. Sire, flourish is my plea. We'll walk daily close with thee. Let it be, dear child, let it be.
Hi, everybody. My name's Desiree C., and I've had the pleasure of being the Faith Formation Manager during Zaire's high school years here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta. You were one of my first Faith Formation volunteers working in the preschool room, as well as during our church camps. And as I reflect over my part of your journey, I have a few things I want to share. Zaire, your parents realized at an early age that they couldn't be all things to you and your siblings. For one to have a healthy and broad perspective of life and all it entails, you need a broad host of folks caring, praying, supporting, and lifting you up. And they need to seek out an intentional community. We've all had the honor of cheering on your various accolades, the band competitions, your school achievements, providing a smiling face, a cheerful clap during our joys and sorrows portion of service, and a listening ear when you needed that too. And as you continue on your life's journey, this is what I have to say to you. We will remain on this side of the bridge, steadfast in the childhood chapter of your life story. But know that you can always welcome to revisit that time, whether that be spiritually or in person. We will remain here rooting you on during all life's mountains and valleys, holding you especially close during the trials that will inevitably come, and yelling, we know you could do it when you undoubtedly overcome. May the foundation that was laid in this season carry you on to the next.
Not yet.
Thank you all for being a part of our community. Say it takes a village, and you guys have been a wonderful village for us, and we appreciate all the support over the years.
Thank you, guys.
Now you get to go all the way. You go with her all the way across, y'all. I have a blessing to share as she fully enters this new phase of life. Zaire Hunter, we bless you today. May your mind be on fire with wonder and wisdom. May your heart be aflame with love for this life. May your hands be ignited with purpose, and may your spirit be aglow with courage and compassion. Zaire, you are a light unto the world, and you carry our steadfast love with you wherever you may go. I now invite the congregation to raise their hands, then bless the youth, bless Zaire with these words. Repeat each line after me. We bless you. We love you. May your life unfold with joy. Amen and blessed be. Let's make a celebratory noise. What? Now, before we return to the sanctuary, we have one more thing to share. Zaire, you're awesome. A born leader, in fact, a trailblazer. On top of all the things that Ms. D mentioned, Zaire was also our very first youth board member ever last year. She broke the glass ceiling for y'all, so thank you for that. Yeah. In honor of this important liminal space, this huge transitional moment, Desiree and I got this chalice necklace for you. Open it up. And as you wear this, may the flame which emerges from the shared cup of this community, reside near your heart. May it bring your warmth, hope, and perhaps even direction whenever you need it. And remember, you got your back. All right, y'all. Now let's quickly and safely head back to the sanctuary. The kids will all stay in the faith formation wing for their continued faith formation. Please be safe yet efficient.
Going back to education. This one. No. All by yourself. All in one. Yeah. Turn up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
A few more wouldn't have fun, especially with someone in a code. Keeping it hot. We're shaking hands.
In a hand, but I get to shake everyone.
Hello, is this thing? Oh, we're good. Okay, let us all return to worship mode, please. Thank you. Yes, we're good. God, Goddess, Spirit of Life, Gaia, Mystery. Just the few of the names for the holy, to borrow from Nancy Schaefer, mentioned earlier during our time of prayer and meditation. Now, I realize and I understand that some of us may have a more troubled, for want of a better term, relationship with spiritual language or anything that's remotely close to God talk than others. But this is a place where we can have these conversations, have diverse opinions and beliefs or non-beliefs, while respecting, loving, and supporting one another on our faith journeys. And maybe reclaim words like God, prayer, faith, and so on, that are all too often used as weapons to harm and marginalize others. So, we do as best we can to create and sustain beloved community. And in the real world, that takes having the money we need to pay the bills and to keep things going. Cash and checks are gratefully accepted, or you may use the text to give information that will be showing up on the screen shortly. Will our ushers please come forward? Thank you for your generosity, and thank you, ushers.
Y'all, we're not doing so bad. It's 11:43. But it's a longer one for me. I apologize in advance. Sorry, not sorry. Y'all, I don't know if I believe in God. I don't really know what I believe about God, what I believe about the divine. I have way more questions than answers. Not even close. Regardless, the general concept of something greater and more intimate than anything one can possibly imagine maintains really great influence in my life, in my heart, in my mind. Now, there are certainly words and symbols and metaphors pointing toward the thing which have had and have tremendous meaning for me. Many signposts which make profound sense to me. Usually because they tug me toward doing better, toward being more relational. They beckon me toward growth, a greater sense of embodied justice, and always, always toward love. It was roughly the summer of 2010. I had just gone through a bad breakup with my fiancée, Molly. Amid planning for our wedding, it all fell apart. Along with it, my whole world had kind of unraveled. Suddenly, the ground beneath me was gone. To find my footing again, I kind of escaped from New York City, where I was living at the time, and headed back to my hometown of Peoria, Illinois. Just before heading back to the Midwest, though, I had booked a lead role in an opera to be performed in Denver, Colorado. It was a new work entitled Unfinished Sermons. It was about a minister who was having a deep crisis of faith, his curiosity and eventual heresy pulling him away from the only truth he had ever known. Having no job once I got to Peoria, and it was 2010, so we're still pretty much smack dab in the middle of Great Recession, so new jobs are tough. I only had time and grief, and so I threw myself into learning the music. And as I learned it, I think some of the story seeped into me. Stories have a way of doing that, right? Especially when you're going real deep into them, especially when you have an open wound through which the story might flow unimpeded. Simultaneously, I quickly realized I needed to go back to New York. I wasn't ready to give up the opportunities New York offered, not just yet. And I had a couple of other low but steady income job prospects held for me there if and once I returned. And so I decided to use my upcoming trip to Denver as kind of a fully paid for trip back to NYC. My traveling accommodations already were covered by part of my performance contract. So I just booked a multi-city flight from Peoria to Denver and then Denver back to New York with several large pieces of luggage in tow. The promoter of the opera was nice enough to cover the extra baggage costs. A week or so into my Denver trip, in the midst of preparing for the opera and my return to New York, I had one afternoon off from rehearsal. And the movie Evan Almighty was on TV. I had seen Bruce Almighty before, but I hadn't seen this pseudo-sequel yet, in which God was once again played by Morgan Freeman. Seems like every other movie he does. As I was watching the film, there was a scene where God was attempting to give subtle signs to various characters to do a thing. And these folks just kept missing them. Finally, God gets a little more direct, and his message is received. Already impacted by and immersed in this operatic story that I was actively creating, which was already living inside of me, all while still nursing a vulnerable heart from my breakup, I was feeling rather open to a sense of spirit. I was feeling rather called by the divine, called to do ministry. God got a little more direct. Her message received momentarily. Now, you may have read in my bio before that I had been screening a call, whatever that means, to ministry for a long time before I finally answered. And it was usually music, which simultaneously distracted me and pulled me closer to the call all at once. This was one of those moments. I was being pulled hard, and I was about to go into it. I was about to jump into it because I felt like something bigger than me was reaching deep inside me, pulling me toward the thing. There was just something about all these little experiences and bigger, like kind of in the midst of these bigger experiences, quickly adding up, telling me I was connected to something bigger, that I should listen to something intuitive. Something was clearly saying to me, pay attention to the all at once, massive yet extremely intimate beckoning. Something outside of me, at the most gargantuan level imaginable, yet also deep, deep inside, was calling. In response, I said to myself, and a few others who would listen, I think I've got to be a minister. And like I said, I didn't do it right away. As I returned to New York after the opera performance, I started an application to Union Theological School. But then almost immediately, I was pulled into arts administration instead when I was offered an enticing job as an artist manager. After a couple years of doing that, I eventually moved to the Tampa Bay area in Florida to manage operations for the Florida Orchestra, which I did for nearly 5 years. For most of those 5 years, I was happy with the orchestra, but the challenges were adding up. I wasn't content. I could be doing more for the world. Trump had just been elected. Even though my path was diverted and things hadn't been going well recently, it was while performing that job, during which I heard this sacred call once again, during which I experienced something relatively mundane, yet also divine, something bigger, something deeper, something holy, was pulling me toward the thing once again, pulling me toward transforming myself, pulling me toward ministry, and ultimately a renewed relationship with God, whoever or whatever that means. This time, it was in conversation with an elderly resident at the Palms of Largo, a very large, prominent retirement community in Florida, at which the orchestra was planning one of about 20 chamber concerts over a 2-day period. As Maya Angelou suggests is the norm, I don't recall what was said exactly, but I remember how I felt. It was within this deep, simple, momentary conversation I felt something deeply connecty, meaningful, pastoral, spiritual. I'm sure my spouse, Janaea, can attest how powerful, motivating, inspirational this brief experience was for me, because it was immediately afterwards that I called her from my car. She and I were engaged at the time, so this life change was risky, especially considering my history with previous fiancés. There was no guarantee she'd be cool with a career shift now. I called her and I said, listen, Janaea, we know this thing at the orchestra isn't working out that great right now. I'm unhappy, unfulfilled. I'm confident a breakup with this job is coming. Meanwhile, this other thing, once again, is just telling me, yelling at me, screaming at me through this gentle old lady's voice. Do this thing that you've been pulled toward for years. Honestly, all the way back to 8th grade in some way or another. Of course, this summoning looked a little bit different each time. My interaction with what might be called felt different each time because I had changed, the world had changed, perhaps even God had changed. Now, I contend that God, whoever or whatever that is indeed always changing, yet I understand this heavily depends on one's theological orientation, and I digress. Now, through all those changes, the same still small voice inside, in dialogue with the universe as I experienced it, was still beckoning me toward generally the same thing, serving something bigger than myself, serving justice, serving love, serving beloved community, serving mystery, serving humanity, serving good, serving God. This time, my journey and this call were finally meeting at the right moment. Together, the call finally sparked. It became. This time I listened, I did it, and with Janaea's full support, thank you, I applied to Meadville Lombard, was accepted, and the rest is somewhat history. Okay, it's important to name something about my story. Though I don't really know what God is, does, or why, I do know I don't believe in an anthropomorphic male God figure. Let me make that real clear right now. That's not my belief. If it's yours, cool. If I did, it probably would be closer to Morgan Freeman's version than the patriarchal white male figure so many others have imagined, nay, forced on others, but I digress again, because I don't. I tell this story because though I don't necessarily believe in God, or maybe it's more accurate to say I don't really know if there is any God, a God, or many gods, the mystery remains. And oh my God, I am pulled so hard toward that mystery. I feel at least from time to time that there is some kind of creative interaction with something I can't quite see yet maybe feel, something that science hasn't quite verified yet also hasn't really vilified, something well beyond the God or gods, as the case may be, prescribed by a collection of letters and stories written 2 millennia ago or more. Even with all that tremendous gray area, I and so many other folks have experienced that thing over far more than 2 millennia, over eons of human life. So many folks have become, at least partially and at least momentarily, aware of something that makes them feel infinitely small and powerful and loved all at once, held in safety and released into endless possibility all at once. As Cheryl alluded to in her much shorter version of my sermon, over the last couple of years, the topic of whether we should talk about God here at UCA has come up. Talk about God at all. And it's come up a lot. I was even asked to give a content warning if and when the word was even going to be mentioned. I politely said no. It's come up enough times, though, that I felt and thought it was really important to spend some really intentional time reflecting on the subject with you and others in our wider CSRA community during worship. As I learned from good old Ralph Emerson, worship is shaping that which has shaping that which has worth. And the subject, meaning power of all the God symbols, seems like a worthwhile thing for us to shape and to help shape us together. It's a topic that is large enough that it's going to take much more than one or even a couple services to cover it, at least if I want to do it with the requisite care and thoughtfulness. So there's going to be a sermon series that I'm going to co-create with Cantor Daniel Geigerman, our buddy down at Congregation Children of Israel. He'll host some sermons and dialogues, as will I. And this will happen over the next several months, perhaps 1 or 2 a month. No end date, just playing. Nevertheless, I know this subject is super uncomfortable for many of you. That the notion of God itself is unreasonable, irrational, inappropriate, harmful even. That the very idea of power beyond oneself is a falsehood to many of you. Many of us reject that there's anything divine because of the risk of accepting the supernatural. To me, that correlation is false and unnecessary. I don't believe that divinity and supernatural are mutually inclusive. I personally don't believe in a supernatural God or supernatural anything, because if anything does exist, it does so within nature and is therefore and necessarily natural. I probably believe there is a divinity that runs through and creates with nature and each of us in nature, not outside of nature. I often believe that the experience of awe and wonder, the experience of mystery that is just beyond us, pulls us toward knowing more nonetheless. A mystery which always remains just outside of our reach, always and always and always. And yet we still move toward it, always and always and always, growing, deepening, transforming, becoming along the way. We still move with it, always and always and always. We still move toward love. Toward love's public image, justice, toward more relational wholeness, holiness, toward good, toward God. In fact, I would say we humans can be, should be, the primary vehicle for that perpetual movement. We are also the primary roadblock, but that's a sermon, maybe even a sermon series for another day. Sadly, tragically, even the notion of God, or whatever is most ultimate, most intimate, most loving, most creative, that notion has been weaponized by powerful people for far too long. Powerful people who use the idea of God not to share power, the immense power of love inherent, but to grasp a hold of it. Instead of engaging with an unbelievably complex subject with curiosity, they wield it with unearned authority and ownership and self-idolization, making God in their image instead of the opposite. Deus ad imaginem hominis instead of imago Dei. Interestingly, hominis translates to man, not humanity writ large. Yes, I'm commenting on patriarchy, as I do. In response to this abuse and misuse of divine symbols for one's own gain, I love playing with, exploring different notions of what God might be, different avatars, different filters which present what God might be, viewing God through different religious screens and diverse theological perspectives and viewpoints, the totality of which have displayed myriad ways in which the spirit of life and love has presented themselves, itself, herself, to peoples and cultures over time, for as long as life has existed. All these various images, these meaningful symbols, are signposts which point us toward a thing, something which is always, should always be good, always loving. That is, until it's capitalized once again by folks for their own benefit and power. And so often, when it is usurped by the powerful, just to be another weapon of the powerful, their symbol of God falls in line with them. Their God, or whatever that thing is presented as just all-powerful. And y'all, that kind of belief is just lazy and self-centered. I do not believe that there's an all-powerful God. Right now, I do believe there's an all-loving God that creates with us, alongside us, because God feels they are impacted by us. even if that God is the totality of the universe itself, including us, which means we are all interdependently creating each moment. Each of us has agency. God has agency. We, the whole, the capital letter W, royal we have agency. Y'all, though I'm not sorry, I keep using the word God, I am sorry for the harm institutions bordering on evil have caused you using that word. I'm sorry. And God remains a catch-all signpost that, while uncomfortable and a non-starter for some, is still a catch-all signpost. A signpost for that which is most ultimate and intimate. A signpost for anything which sparks wonder and awe and connection and wholeness. Anything that sparks the holy. It's also the word that allows us to communicate in good faith with folks outside of our tradition. We are not separate from those folks in our community. And we'll be having those kinds of conversations over the next several months, as I said. When I hear and use the word God, when you hear and use the word God, I invite you to do just a little bit of inner translation. Just a little bit. Translate it to many or any of the symbols for God found in our earlier story or our prayer or a different tradition or your own experience, whatever it is that feels like just real big and real small all at once, something that connects you right in the middle. God is. God is a blade of grass among a sea of green. God are the sum total interaction of and relationship between the celestial bodies that we see and don't see, because we know that there is more in this universe that we have not yet experienced. Whatever is or might be most ultimate, most intimate, most mysterious, most wonderful, I hope you experience it at some point. I hope you experience God. Goodness willing. Even if only hinted at deep within. Y'all, I could work really hard to make a systematic theology. I could get real nerdy about all this. The kind of theology that defines God, yes, there are some which don't, at least not about the one you may be thinking. Interestingly, you may be thinking still, after everything I've said, thinking narrowly of the same one hegemonic Christian God forced on so many. And that's the power of hegemony. Even the people who are against the powerful thing, in this case an idea, use the same thing as a frame of reference. Forgetting we can change the frame. We can change the frame, y'all. Forgetting that language and humans and the universe are vastly more complex. Forgetting to be curious about all the endless, meaningful possibilities of what words to use, of the word definitions that we choose. Yeah, I could work really hard to build a holistic theological framework, a treatise. It would honestly be fun. Yet, it would end up being It would end up being a masturbatory exercise. It would titillate my mind. But would it have any real impact on helping me live into my fullest potential and empowering me to help the world live into its fullest potential? I'd hope so. Because I hope everything I do does. Yet, turning it into an intellectual exercise wouldn't be the most direct path, at least not for me. There are certainly systematic theologies that make a ton of sense to me, like relational process theology. Talk to me after. There are certainly cosmologies which ring true for me. They may even be true, yet I'll never really know. Still interested. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily what my theology is, what I believe, but rather, as I've told my kids from the moment we could have conversations about stuff like this, I don't really care what you believe. I don't really care what your theology is. How does your belief impact your behavior? How does it add beauty, creativity, connection, good to the world? How does it increase love in you? How does it increase love in the world? That is what's important. So again, Over the next several months, we'll be exploring, playing with what amounts to a very short list of what symbols of divine work for many of us here, people in the CSRA, work for many of you. We'll be in dialogue with other religious perspectives, humanist perspectives. We'll go deep and we'll go broad, y'all. Always with these two questions guiding the way. What is most intimate and ultimate for you? How does your God increase love in you and the world? We're going to take an intentional trip through this sacred together, y'all. And as we continue along our journey, I wish us all Godspeed. Blessed be.
Would you rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, Godspeed? Sheet music can be found using links in your digital order of service.
Before I share the very brief closing words by my friend Reverend Tandy Rogers, let's talk about Josef and his concert on May 30th. I hope you're getting tickets, y'all. Yeah. We will be joined once again by our buddies over at Creative Impressions, who gave a really great concert along with Josef last year. So please, uuaugusta.org/jazz tickets. These words, to extinguish our chalice by, again, by Reverend Tandy Rogers, are entitled, Let Your Spirit Be Surprised. May your wonder be bigger than your fear. May questions lead you gently into truth, not control. May you meet the unknown with wide eyes, and let your spirit be surprised.
All stirring